This video is brought to you by the EA Career Network. Thanks to EA for providing me with the code for the pack. Sorry, I had to legally say that. Hello guys, this is Abi, aka onlyabidoang. Yes, I started using facecam since 7 videos ago. And today I'm going to show you 10 features that you might not know in the new Sims 4 expansion pack, Enchanted by Nature. Yes, despite the severe bugs happening right now, like Sims not being able to get pregnant properly, broken Sims textures, and many more, they still somehow managed to release yet another expansion pack. What? This? Oh, this is my new fairy wings, just for this occasion, you know, because this pack is all about fairies and stuff, right? I mean, other Sims creators wear wings when they showcase this pack, so why shouldn't I? They can even flap, mind you. Just take a look. Yeah, see? Pretty neat, right?
She was a fairy.
Kagak, gua nggak disponsori Indomie, nemu dus kayak gini aja gua. Anyway, I won't be diving deep into all the fairy abilities just yet. That's probably for another video. And before continuing, just a quick reminder that I now have a creator code. Feel free to use the code onlyabidoang when buying any Sims 4 packs in the EA app if you'd like to support me. Alright, enough yapping about that, let's just jump straight into these features. Remember PlantSims, that temporary occult in the base game? Well, they get some improvements in this pack. Unfortunately though, they're still not a permanent occult and still have that crappy default hairstyle. In this pack, PlantSim townies are back, and you can encounter PlantSim passerbys in the new world of Innisgreen. Besides asking for a magic bean, like back when the PlantSim event was on, you can now ask them for a forbidden fruit directly. Or you can also demand one from them if you want to do it in a ruder way. If you play as a PlantSim yourself, you'll get several new abilities. First is the Nature's Breath ability that requires 5 fairy dust. This ability has a chance to either succeed or fail. If it succeeds on a sim, they'll temporarily gain a boosted gardening skill gain. You can also use it on plants, and if it succeeds, the plant will instantly grow to maturity and produce harvestables. The other ability they get is called Poison Kiss. If you use it on another sim, it can give them a case of Greeny Meanie, a 3-day ailment that makes them constantly angry and gives them a green, vine-like appearance. On the bright side, it does give a slight boost to their gardening skill. If the PlantSim buff has only a few days left, PlantSims get the option to refresh its life force with 20 piles of fairy dust to reset the buff timer. But honestly, it's much easier if you just eat another forbidden fruit instead. A fairy with the Nurture Nature ability unlock can provide PlantSims with water healing, increasing their water need. And finally, they can talk to the Spruce Almighty NPC and praise them for creating PlantSims since they're the creator of them. And would you look at that? The game lore itself even acknowledges that PlantSims are temporary. Well, I guess we're never getting a permanent PlantSim in this game. Fairies thrive from emotions. Their hunger and bladder need has now been replaced by this emotional force need. This need depletes over time and will be used up every time they use their fairy powers. This need can be replenished by regenerating it yourself with fairy dust, using the fairy house, drinking a bottled emotion, absorbing other Sims' emotions, and many more. Be careful if this need gets low because they can get ravenous from the lack of emotional force, and, if left for too long, will die of emotional starvation. The ghosts of those who died of emotional starvation will still become a fairy and have their social need decay a bit faster. Also, ghost fairies in general will automatically perform this netherworld regenerate emotional force interaction if the need gets too low with no fairy dust needed. This is what a fairy's tombstone and urn look like, by the way. So you may think that keeping this emotional force need to the fullest is the best option, right? Well, not really. If a fairy absorbs another Sim's emotions while the meter is full, they will have the chance of getting this tense buff. And if you ignore it and keep absorbing other Sim's powerful emotions, you will develop one of these 3 emotional overload buff, either playful, embarrassed, or angry, depending on the type of emotion absorbed. It increases 1 tier each time you absorb an emotion while overloading, and if it has reached tier 3 and you still absorb another's emotions, your sim will die of extreme emotions. They will die of laughter for playful, die of embarrassment for embarrassed, and die of cardiac explosion for angry. Unlike emotional starvation, these aren't considered as a new type of death. Fairies will be able to use their powers and access their ability skill tree once they age up to teen. So yeah, child fairies and younger can do the same. They don't even have wings yet, unlike in the Sims 3 Supernatural expansion pack. But younger fairies do have a unique characteristic. First of all, if two fairies try for baby and then they... oh yeah, oops, I almost forgot that pregnancy is barely working in the newest update. I guess I have to use mods right now. Okay, there we go. Anyway, if two fairies have a baby, their offspring will get this high-fi lineage trait that gives them additional fairy experience gain once they grow up. And unlike older fairies, child fairies and younger will still have the bladder and hunger need, but their needs will decay slower. They will also be able to build thinking and imagination skill faster. Additionally, if you have any, you can bottle feed infant fairies with one of the bottled emotion potions from this pack, making them much happier. Toddler and child fairies also get something unique. Whenever they wake up, there's a chance they will experience an emotional struggle for 4 hours. This buff causes them to have periodic tantrum bursts that can break objects nearby. Older fairies can help them to manage their emotions, suppressing them from breaking even more things. If they keep helping them whenever they have these struggles, eventually these younger fairies will wake up with this emotional stability, giving bursts of happiness to sims around them instead. Fairies have certain cross-pack integrations between different occults from other packs. First of all, they will have different starting relationship when meeting certain occults. They will start on good terms with werewolves and mermaids, and will start on bad terms with vampires and spellcasters. Also, fairies have their own unique insult to vampires and spellcasters. Dang, why are fairies kind of racist like that? I guess there's probably a good lore explanation about it somewhere in the game. Like how werewolves hate vampires. If a fairy has the Nurture Nature ability unlocked, they can use their magic to replenish the water need of mermaids. Meanwhile, if they have the Cure or Apply ailment ability unlocked, they can absorb the vampirism from a vampire so they turn to a regular sim, and soothe werewolves to lower their fury meter. Besides that, you may even be contacted by a werewolf or a mermaid for a favor. The mermaid will request for a water healing, while the werewolf will be enraged and you need to soothe it to calm them down and turn them back to their human form. Fairies always shrink down when using their powers, which is honestly pretty cool to me. I don't think sims have ever had an actual animation with their entire body shrinking before. But aside from using their powers, fairies also shrink during a few other interactions too. First off, fairies can shrink and sleep inside dollhouses. Now I get that they made it so fairies sleeps on the floor to keep things compatible with all dollhouses, but the fact that they sometimes sleep in the hallway instead of the bedroom is never not funny. Like, damn it Emily, the bedroom is right there! They can also shrink and sleep on pianos for some reason. I'm not sure if this is a reference to something because it's pretty random. They can cleanse themselves in nature by interacting with a small water plant. They will shrink and mess around with the plant, increasing their hygiene need and also leaving a bunch of fairy dust on the ground. On top of that, they can also shrink and splash around in a sink, which boosts both their hygiene and fun need. Fairies can also shrink and play on a handful of household objects. They all use the same animation, where the fairy shrinks and goes inside the object to shake them around, but certain objects may even give a unique effect after you explore around in them. They may find some spare simoleons after playing in the sofa, gain a bit of a logic skill after playing in a bookshelf, learn a bit of fitness skill inside the workout machine, find some random produce from the refrigerator, and some others. The fairy house from Sims 3 Supernatural also makes a return here, and fairies can shrink and enter the house to do various things, like taking a bath, regenerating their emotional force, sleeping, and even throwing a dance party. And finally, fairies can shrink to woohoo with either another fairy or even non-fairy sims. The latter plays a new animation where the fairies shrink their woohoo partner before doing the action in the sky. Yeah, that must be fun. Innisgreen, the new world in this pack, has several points of interest that may be worth checking out. The Coast of Atmore has a rabbit hole grocery shop where you can shop for various ingredients. There's also another rabbit hole called Captain Quarters Fish Shop, where you can buy some fish here or even sell great quality fish for an increased selling price. The sea area with this giant shipwreck is actually swimmable. There's a vendor here selling gnomes and some food and drinks. And finally, there's this giant gnome statue where you can make a wish to boost your luck. If you complete certain quests, you can even wake it up and it might reward you with gifts. If you're a fairy and you're in this neighborhood, try not to do any fairy stuff here because performing fairy abilities here are frowned upon, and you'll even get a small punishment from the Fairy Council liaison if you keep doing it even after the first warning. Fairies marked as a problem fairy can either try to appeal to the court in the fairy hub or pay the sanction fee to the liaison. The Spruce Dairy Grove is next. There's this gardening shop rabbit hole where you can buy gardening supplies and even the new magical plant seeds. There's also this bookstore rabbit hole where you can buy used books or donate your own books. The small area is actually swimmable as well. You can find the apothecary vendor to buy apothecary items or sell elixirs. You will also find these strange looking mushrooms that talk for some reason, but they will play a part in one of the quests. And finally, you can find this glasswood tree statue to summon Spruce Almighty, an NPC that can help you increase your luck or improve your garden. You can even seduce them if you want to. Finally, there's Everdew, an enchanted forest type of neighborhood. First thing you can find is the Fairy Hub rabbit hole located in the center. You can learn more about fairies here, try out the steam toilet, or obtain your daily fairy dust ration if you're a fairy. It will have been even cooler if this is an actual lot though, and not a rabbit hole. This neighborhood is also the only place where you can find the 3 new magical plants in the wild. You can also find this magical structure called the Starseed Teleporter that can immediately teleport you to the hidden areas in your game for a few fairy dust. You can even teleport to hidden areas from other packs. And finally, there's this swimmable area called Moondrop Springs. Besides a sitting sim to become a fairy, this magical spring has its own emotions that differs each day. You can bask in its emotion, ask it to change its emotion if you have good relationship with the Mother Nature NPC, cure the ailments you are currently having, or you can even collect its water to have a bottled emotion based on what the spring is currently feeling. Fables are quests you can get from the NPCs in Innisgreen. It's pretty much similar to the errands in Hanford on Bagley and Ravenwood, but each fable has their own unique reward. You can get them from these fabulous NPC that you can check from the info board. To get these fables, find these fabulous NPCs, go to the friendly category, stories, and then ask them for a fable. The quest tasks range from fetch quests, delivering items, socializing with other sims, doing certain interactions, all that stuff. Some fables even require you to complete other fables from other NPCs first. The general reward varies from apothecary ingredients, seeds, elixirs, and even ailments sometimes. But some fables can even provide unique rewards, such as this fable. It gives you this reward tray that lets you give offerings to the aforementioned giant gnome statue and gain rewards from it. Or these kinds of fables that let you have your own Starseed Teleporter or Glasswood Tree statue from the comfort of your home. Certain fables can also be done multiple times. All of your collected fables will be stored in your Sims notebook for you to read. You can also trade with these fabulists. Each NPC gives different items and only wants specific items in return. They'll also give you a hint if you don't have the item they want. The natural living skill is the new skill here that lets you fulfill your needs outside. And honestly, it's my least favorite big addition from this pack. But one thing that I find a bit impressive from this skill is foraging. You can forage for random items on the ground, and at level 5 of the skill, you can specifically forage for collectibles. And what's neat is that the reward pool of the things you can find in the ground differs depending on the world you're in. In Moonwood Mill, for example, you can get the Moonwood Relics collectibles here. In Tortosa, you can get the Message in Battle collectibles so you don't have to wait for those sand piles to appear. In San Myshuno, you may find some of the city collectibles like posters and snow globes. In Tomarang, you may find the colorful marbles and tassels collectibles. In Ciudad Enamorada, you may capture axolotls from the ground. In Brindleton Bay, you can find the bird feathers. In Mount Komorebi, you can find these Simis figures. In Glimmerbrook and the Magic Realm, you can find the Spellcaster magical artifacts. In Solani, you can find some seashells. In Planet Zigzam, you can find these small alien collectibles. And finally, in Granite Falls, you can find insects as well, which is a much better alternative since finding these little buggers can really strain your eyes here. There's a new crafting activity in this pack called Nature Pressing, which you can do by buying the Nature Press object in buy mode. It's not tied to any skill, and as long as you have the right ingredients, mostly plants, you can instantly craft any of the available items. The whole process is pretty fast too. Most of the things you make are decorative, like paintings and candles made from the plants and flowers you've collected. Even child sims can do it. Now, if you happen to have some fairy dust, you can use it to craft enchanted versions of these items. So what do? Do they float, glow, do something extraordinarily magical? Nope, they just get an emotional aura now that can give sims in the room specific emotions, similar to the emotional aura we already have on tons of other decorative objects. I mean, I guess it's something, but still. There's a new career in this pack called the Naturopath. It's kind of like this semi-active career. Once you reach level 2, you can start taking clients at home and diagnose whether they're dealing with an actual ailment or just general physical or emotional distress. You can also stick to the work from home tasks or send your sim to the rabbit hole job like a regular career. You'll still get unique chance cards that way too, it's your choice. If you do choose to take clients actively, the process is mostly the same each time. The only real variation comes from the diagnosis itself, so it can start to feel a bit repetitive. You can just pick the correct diagnosis right away if you recognize the symptoms, but you may want to run some extra exams first to get that gold medal completion. If it turns out to be an ailment, you can craft a cure through the apothecary table, or if you're a fairy, you can just zap it away if you have the cure ailment ability. This active career has 2 branches at level 6, which is unlike any other active career. You can either choose the Apothecurist branch, which focuses on the apothecary and gardening skills, or the Lifestyle Coaching branch, which focuses more on natural living and fitness skill. Both still have the exact same client diagnosing activity though, but if you're looking for a long-term reward, I recommend going with the Apothecurist path. If you reach the max level, you'll unlock the Holistic Healer reward trait, which makes your sim immune to catching ailments from others. You can still get sick with ailments from being imbalanced or from fairies though. Meanwhile, the Lifestyle Coaching branch doesn't give you any reward trait at all. Well, before ending this video, I wanna give some honorable mentions to these other small features from this pack. The Nurture Nature ability can also be used on cats and dogs to fill their needs and cure their illness if they have any. You can also use it to fill the needs of horses, farm animals, and ranch animals. In Create a Sim, fairies can choose to go wingless in their fairy form if you prefer. They can still shrink and fly around without their wings, Peter Pan style. Gnomes can now be crafted in the woodworking table, and you can even craft gnomes from other packs. Besides for repairing, cleaning, and gardening, you can bring gnomes back to life with fairy dust to protect your sim. And this means from Grim Reaper himself. This is as long as gnomes are still alive though. And finally, fairies will fly up and down whenever they use ladders instead of climbing. So those are 10 and more features from the latest Sims 4 expansion pack, Enchanted by Nature. So what do you think of this feature? And if you've tried the pack before, have you found any other features that you find really interesting? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope that you find it helpful, and if you do and want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'm just gonna fly away now with my wings. Goodbye!